stop for a second. Before we get into this list, I need to tell you something. There is one thing on this list I almost did not include, not because it is not real, because it is going to hit too close. It is not about what high IQ people notice in others. It is about what they notice in themselves every single day and what they silently decide to do with it. I am saving that for number 1. Everything on this list builds toward it. Keep that in mind. Let's go. Number 12, high IQ people experience an exhaustion that has no name. Be honest with yourself right now. Have you ever come home from a perfectly normal day feeling completely drained without being able to explain why? No physical reason, nothing traumatic happened, just empty. This is what happens when a brain spends an entire day doing everything else on this list simultaneously. Reading rooms, tracking patterns, catching micro expressions, filing inconsistencies, all of it running at once without an off switch. Most people's brains filter the majority of this out. Yours does not. Comment 1 if you have ever felt exhausted by a day that looked completely normal from the outside, because that exhaustion has a name. It is called the cost of processing everything, and it connects directly to number 1. Stay with me. Number 11. You read someone's entire personality from one small habit. Here is your homework for this one. This week, pick one person in your life and observe just one small habit. How they respond to minor inconvenience when nobody important is watching, how they treat someone who cannot do anything for them, just one habit. Then ask yourself what it actually reveals about how they see themselves in the world, because high IQ people do this automatically and unconsciously every single day, the way someone organizes their immediate space, whether they are early or late, and which situations flip that. These are not random behaviors, they are windows into someone's entire psychology, their relationship to control, to anxiety, to respect. Drop what you find in the comments. I genuinely want to read them. Number 10, you notice holes in arguments that everyone else finds completely convincing, a speech that sounds powerful but has no actual logic beneath it, a news story that falls apart if you pull on just one thread, a movie plot that everyone loves but has a central contradiction that breaks the whole thing. Real talk. Does this make watching movies or sitting in meetings genuinely exhausting sometimes? Comment 1. Because your brain requires internal consistency before it can accept something as true. It cannot pretend the whole is not there just because everyone else missed it. That is not cynicism. That is a brain that cannot be fooled by confident delivery alone, and it never switches off. Number 9, you notice how people treat others when there is nothing to gain from being kind, how someone talks to a server, whether they acknowledge the person holding the door, how they behave the exact second the important person leaves the room. Write this one down, seriously, because this is the most reliable people reading tool on this entire list. Most people ignore these moments as irrelevant. Your brain flags them as the only truly honest data you will ever get about who someone actually is. Everything else is performance. These moments are character. And once you see someone clearly in one of these moments, you cannot unsee them, ever. Number 8. You notice the exact limits of your own knowledge in real time. Someone asks you something, you start to answer, and mid-sentence your brain flags precisely where your certainty ends. So you slow down, you qualify, you add nuance. Meanwhile, the person next to you who knows half as much answers with complete unshakable confidence, no hesitation, no doubt, just certainty they did not earn. Quick question. Have you ever felt less confident than someone who was clearly less informed than you? Comment 1. Psychologists call this the reverse Dunning-Kruger effect. The more you actually know, the more clearly you see everything you still do not know. Your self-doubt is not weakness. It is your brain maintaining accuracy. It is precision wearing the costume of insecurity. Number 7. You notice sounds and details that everyone else has completely filtered out. The hum of a refrigerator in a quiet room, a repetitive tap 3 rooms away, a specific frequency underneath the background music. Here is your homework. Next time you feel overstimulated in a public place, stop and identify exactly what your brain is tracking, because it is tracking everything simultaneously. Most brains automatically suppress background input. Yours processes the full signal, which means environments that feel perfectly comfortable to everyone else can genuinely overwhelm you. And this connects directly back to number 12. The exhaustion is not random. It is the bill your brain sends after a full day of receiving everything at full volume without a filter. Number 6, you notice the exact moment someone stops being fully honest, not lying necessarily, just not completely honest, a fraction of a pause, a slight shift in eye contact, a word chosen a little too carefully, and you felt it before you could explain it logically. This is your brain reading micro expressions. involuntary muscle movements happening in milliseconds that reveal the real emotional state beneath the words. Comment 1 if your gut has ever called something correctly before you had any real evidence, because that gut feeling had a name the whole time. It was data your brain collected faster than your conscious mind could process it. You were never just guessing, you were reading. Number 5. You see connections between things that have no obvious connection to anyone else. A conversation from 3 years ago suddenly explains something happening right now. A behavior someone showed in January predicts exactly what they do in September. Most people experience life as a series of separate events. Your brain experiences it as a system where everything eventually links to everything else. Here's where it gets interesting. This same pattern recognition makes you almost impossible to fool the same way twice, because your brain does not forget patterns. It archives them permanently. Quick question. Think of one time your brain connected something that nobody around you connected. Got it? That is the same mechanism running silently behind every single point on this list. Number 4. You hear what people actually mean, not just what they say. Someone uses a word in conversation that is slightly too careful, too deliberate, a phrase that sounds built rather than natural. Most people hear the meaning, you hear the construction, and the gap between what someone built and what they actually meant tells you more about the real situation than anything said directly. Psychologists call this linguistic asymmetry. Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking that is not what they actually meant? Comment 1. Your brain detected something completely real. It just could not explain the mechanism in the moment. Now you know exactly what it was doing. Number 3, you cannot stop noticing what is broken in every system around you. The 3 empty registers while one line goes to the door, the meeting that could have been solved in 4 minutes, the road layout creating the same jam every single morning. Be honest. Do you spend time in these situations mentally redesigning the entire system without meaning to? You are not trying to be critical. Your brain automatically maps inefficiencies and builds better versions whether you asked it to or not. Write this down because this is important. This same brain that fixes external systems is also doing something far more uncomfortable to its own thinking. That was number 8. Go back and reread it now that you have this context, because those two connect in a way that explains a lot about your relationship with yourself. Number 2, you read the emotional temperature of a room the second you walk into it. Here is your homework. Next time you walk into any gathering, pause at the door for 3 full seconds before saying a single word. Just feel the room, because here's what high IQ people do automatically. They walk in and already know. There was tension before I arrived. Those two are performing normal. Something in here is unresolved, no evidence, no logical reason. Just knowing. Your brain is processing micro signals simultaneously. Posture, spacing, the quality of someone's laugh, the way two people are carefully not looking at each other. Most brains filter all of this as irrelevant noise. Your brain treats every single signal as primary information. You do not walk into rooms, you read them. Number 1. Here's the one I told you about at the very beginning, the one I almost did not include. High IQ people notice when they are the only person in the room who noticed something, and they say nothing every single time. Not because they are unsure of what they saw, because they have already run the calculation. They know exactly how the next 60 seconds play out if they speak. The confusion on people's faces, the deflection, the uncomfortable silence, the conversation moving on without ever going where it needed to go. So they file it, they add it to the archive, and they carry it alone. This is not a small thing. This is a lifetime of seeing more than the world around you is ready to hear, and making the quiet decision over and over again to hold it. Psychologists call this intellectual self-censorship, but that name does not capture what it actually costs, because it is not just about intelligence. It is about spending your entire life slightly ahead of the conversation, waiting for everyone to catch up. Sometimes they do, often they do not, and the high IQ person learns to be okay with that, not because it does not hurt, but because they understand something most people spend their whole lives missing. Depth is not a burden. It is the whole point. You were not built wrong. You were just built different. And there is absolutely nothing ordinary about the way your mind works. How many of these 12 does your brain do every day? Drop your number in the comments. I want to see who scores the highest. Want the psychology of why high IQ people experience severe mental burnout from processing the world like this? Comment 12. Want to understand why highly intelligent people deliberately hide what they notice and blend into normal crowds? Comment 9. Subscribe if this finally makes sense of how your mind actually works, because your brain already knew most of this. It was just waiting for someone to say it out loud.